Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crab cake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast, or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now. Well, joining us today on the phone is Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and he is a blues artist extraordinaire with 6 #1 blues albums and a 5-time Grammy nominee. Kenny will be playing at the Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis on Sunday and Monday. Kenny, thank you very much for taking the time, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Man. All right, now, do I have this straight that music sort of ran in your family, your dad being a collector, a radio guy, and a promoter? You started playing at age 7, but by age 14, you had a multi-record deal, being self-taught on the blues guitar?
Almost. My dad was in radio. He had a massive record collection as a result of it. Exposed me to all kinds of music. I mean, we went to every concert that came through town. But yeah, I started playing guitar. I had little toy guitars when I was 4 years old. I got my first real electric guitar at age 7. And by the time I was 13, I was playing on stage for the first time. When I was 14, I did my first demo recordings. And when I was 15, I put my band together. And by the age of 16, I signed a record deal.
That's phenomenal. And since that time, I mean, and you're not old by any means. You're 41. You're young. You're a kid still, if you will.
Thanks.
But you've played with some legends. I mean, you got B.B. King, Stephen Stills, Etta Baker, Barry Goldberg. What artist, whether you've played with them or not, who do you hold in awe? I mean, who is like the god of music for Kenny Wayne Shepherd?
Well, I mean, some of those people that I look up to in that regard are no longer with us. People like Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and even B.B. King, who we lost a few years ago. Those people were just some of my biggest heroes and inspirations. I mean, I've played with a lot of people over the years. Some of the people that you mentioned, I mean, everybody, it's kind of like runs the gamut. So like we've played with, certainly most of my heroes that are still alive, throughout the beginning of my career. I mean, we've played with everybody from the Rolling Stones to Van Halen to the Allman Brothers to B.B. King. It's like kind of like a who's who of rock and roll and blues. And, as a kid growing up listening to all these artists and being influenced by their music and then being out on tour with them and sharing the stage with them, that was like a surreal experience, It
has to be. You did a Reddit Ask Me Anything, an AMA last year. And one of the things I thought was interesting that you said that you play in all sorts of venues from small and intimate to these giant festivals. I don't think you're getting any more intimate than the Ram's Head on stage for sure. And I know you've played the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival. You were just back here in Annapolis back in May. Do you have a favorite venue or a festival that you've played that you're like, okay, this is where I really feel at home?
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, we're at home wherever the crowd shows up and is ready to have a good time and hear the music, and that's why, we like playing all different kinds of venues. Now, I will say that normally you won't catch us at many venues that are the size of the Ram's Head, but, there's something special about that place to me. And so it's one of the places that we kind of look forward to coming to the area. We love Annapolis. There's so many times over the years that we've gotten to know some of the people in the area. And it's one of those places that we're like, pretty large size theaters or the outdoor venues nowadays. And so, but we always keep going back to the Ram's Head because we have such a good time there. The people there are nice. The venue is nice. And it gives us that intimate moment on the tour in a smaller venue that we wouldn't normally have otherwise. So to answer your question, I mean, a favorite venue or, a favorite setting, I mean, it's just wherever the fans show up and have a great time. Now, I will say that in America, some of the hardest rocking fans out there are in the state of Michigan. It's pretty impressive. Like those people work really hard and they play really hard. And it seems like they really live for the response from the crowd is always elevated, no matter where you're at in the state of Michigan. It's noticeable from the stage.
That's wild. It's funny. I was talking to Sarah Petska earlier from the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival, and just to let you know, you made an 8-year-old boy's life. She said that during your performance this year, you gave a guitar pick to her nephew Nolan, who was on the side stage just watching, and he plays guitar, and it just absolutely thrilled him. It was such an honor for him, and he has it in a case, and he treasures it, and it's now an 8-year-old boy's most cherished possession because of Kenny Wayne Shepherd at the Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival in Annapolis.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I know what it's like to be young and a fan of music and impressionable like that. So, it's good to hear. And, because of my history and my story, being a young kid, soaking up all of this music and eventually turning into a professional musician myself, I try and reach out to the young kids that I see at our shows in some way, and just acknowledge them and show my appreciation to them, and hopefully have a good impact on them the way people like Stevie Ray Vaughan had such a big impact on me.
Well, it certainly keeps the blues alive as well. And,
right.
I had listened to the blues all my life, but I'd never really, I guess, gotten the bug for it until about 20 years ago. I was in a bar in New Orleans, and there was a guy called Rooster. I think it's Curtis Wheeler is his name, and he's just sort of a stalwart on Bourbon Street. And I mean, it was just so raw, real, and pure. And I just got hooked, and I think that's, that really sort of speaks to blues today. And I mean, and you've certainly looked to continue that tradition.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing about blues is you're supposed to play it with your heart, man, and you kind of put that out there. And it's like Hubert Sumlin used to say, and Hubert was Howlin' Wolf's guitar player, and he's like, man, if I'm playing it from my heart and I'm feeling it, then the audience, they gots to feel it, and that's kind of the point. The music can translate to anybody regardless of age because of that, and it's that's how it's supposed to be done.
That's special. Well, I'm not sure where you found the time with all of your touring schedule and your albums and everything else, but you and your wife Hannah have 3 daughters, God bless you, and 2 sons. And I know how important family is to you, but I mean, how do you juggle it all? And you're right now in the middle of an 18-month tour supporting your latest album, Lay It On Down, which you're about to have your 1-year anniversary in a couple weeks. But how do you juggle the touring and everything else with your family when you've got such a huge family?
Well, it's just all about balance. When I got married, I made a commitment to my wife, and when we started having a family, I made a commitment to our children as well. To be a father, to be a present father, to not be the guy that just packs up and comes back, after his kids are grown. And, but I also made a commitment to my fans and to the people that are invested in my career. So it's just a matter of trying to strike the right balance between that. So, we try basically not to be out on the road for more than 4 weeks at a time before we'll go home and kind of reconnect with family for at least a week to 2 weeks. And, I think the winter is kind of the downtime for touring. So, we stay home for a few months throughout the winter. And, I just try and really make sure that my kids know that they're a priority. My wife knows that she's a priority, and try not to stay gone for too long before I come back and reconnect with them, and then they come out on the road sometimes too, depending on the tour and what the travel looks like on that particular tour. So, we make it work, and I think we do a really good job of it.
Well, that's great. Well, you were born in Shreveport. Now, where do you call home now? Are you still down in Louisiana?
Yeah. I have a place right next door to my dad in outside of Shreveport, Louisiana. And then we also have a place out in Los Angeles, which is where my wife's family is. So we're lucky that we call home that, are close to both of our families.
That's special. That really is. Hey, in addition to the guitar, you're kind of a motorhead and a fan and a collector of the muscle cars and everything else. Do you do the restoration work and all that on yourself, or is that?
I participate in it as much as I can. So, I don't do paint and body work, which I actually would like to be able to do. I just haven't had time to try and learn how to weld or anything like that. But I come up with the design of what I want the car to look like. I'll help with the tear down process. I'm like the project manager manufacturer for all my cars. So I come up with a spreadsheet of all the parts that we're going to need to fulfill the vision. And then I help put it together to the best of my abilities as well.
There you go. Well, would you have any thoughts on the way the future is looking toward electric cars?
I have a Tesla as well. So I think they're great vehicles. I think there's a place for the electric car. And I think there's still a place for combustion engines. I don't think we should have to choose between one or the other. And I don't think that's going to be the case. But there's no doubt the way they've been able to, really improve on electric car technology lately. It's pretty impressive.
They kind of scare the hell out of me about running out of juice in the middle of some place, but it's I know.
Well, you have to get used to it. Like, with my car, I've never had that problem. I've never found myself in a situation where I was about to be stranded on the side of the road because I ran out of energy in my battery. All
right. Well, look, I'll tell you, as we start to wrap up, outside of music and outside of cars, what excites you? What are you involved in? Do you have any charities or any favorite causes that you're?
Yeah, we work with many different charities over the years, and there's one that's really special that we've done a lot of work with called MKI, which is Mending Kids International, which helps get kids that have like life-threatening complications, helps them to get the surgeries that they need to live a better life and improve their quality of life. And that's both children here in the United States and children all over the world. So it's a pretty amazing organization. We've done a lot of stuff with them over the years. And then I'm on the board of the Hot Rodders Children's Charity, and so it's a bunch of car guys that, will host events and raise a bunch of money and donate that money. We come together as car guys and then raise money and then donate it to various children's charities that help take care of kids.
That's great. All right. Well, finally, I got to ask, what's next for Kenny Wayne Shepherd after your shows at the Rams Head on Sunday and Monday?
Well, man, we're just going to continue hitting it on the road. I mean, we've got a full schedule. We're going to be out through the middle of August, and we're going to take a week and a half break, and then we're going to hit it again. And basically, we'll be busy through the rest of this year, probably through the beginning of December. We just went into the studio in March, and we've already recorded another new record. So that's kind of cool because we're ahead of schedule for the first time in my career as far as making records go. So we'll have one ready to pull the trigger on at a moment's notice, but I would anticipate it coming out, the first quarter of next year, probably.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, Kenny, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to chat with us. I'm looking forward to seeing you once again at the Rams Head on stage this weekend. And for those that are listening, there are probably no tickets left for the Sunday night show, but the Monday evening show, the last time I looked, there was maybe like 7. So go snatch them up if you want to see a blues legend in a joint that has the crappiest seat is 48 feet from the stage. It really is. It's as you said, it's a special place. Kenny Wayne Shepherd is a special guitarist, and we look forward to seeing you here in Annapolis again in a couple days.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.